on this episode of On the Mic with Mike and Moose.
Because she was saved, but she had some choice words from time to time when she needed to get my attention. And she would take time with me, and I went from being in men's chorus to being in show choir. And before you judge me, men can be in show choir and still be men. Hear that, okay? Moose was in show choir also.
What's up, everybody? To On the Mic with Mike and Moose. It's your boy Moose coming to you from right outside of Birmingham, Alabama.
And Mike Pickett, all the way from Moore, Oklahoma, where I'm a senior pastor at Southgate.
Good deal, good deal. So, Mike, we uh we recorded that last episode less than a week before the passing of Hulk Hogan.
I
And
know, man.
how do we know to put a an episode out the week of his funeral? I mean, it's just like it was so weird that that happened.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Then we lost Theo and lost Ozzy all in the same week. But Hulk, that one, you probably saw my Facebook. I did the little kid looking at Hulk Hogan, the cartoon, because
Right.
Hulk Hogan was my childhood, man. That was my wrestler, him and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh,
Yeah, good deal.
so that
Yeah,
was it.
I find it was so ironic that I was in the middle of editing that video and the news broke, and it was like,
Yeah,
wow, that's just it's ironic how that happens sometimes. So
yeah, it was
anyway,
heartbreaking.
so this episode we're talking about that one teacher or coach that shaped us.
Yeah,
I think the prompt that you had originally said when we were talking about what we needed to cover, you said that we all had that one as someone, that coach, that teacher who shaped us, whether it was good or bad. In the episode, we wanted to reflect on some of those unexpected influences that may either helped us or hindered us during our journeys into adulthood.
oh yeah,
So I know this was kind of this was your subject. I told you off air that I can talk about this for hours as well.
I
So
could
I'm
too.
gonna
Yeah.
let you kind of lead us off here because I think that I kind of want to get your thoughts on it and just kind of see what your experiences were.
Yeah. Well, I had many great teachers, not so great teachers, but the one I want to hit on today is one that forever changed my life. Her name was Judy Meeks. It was in ninth grade. I was in high school in Pensacola, Florida. The name of the school was Woodham High. Woodham High no longer exists. That's how great our school was. So, but anyway, outside of that, I was signed up to go to shop. I was doing everything a ninth grade boy was supposed to do. Well, they messed me up and put me in men's chorus. I didn't want to go sing. I knew I had a little bit of a voice, but I went to the thing and I went to her. I said, "Hey, I had signed up for shop, but she needed some men. She needed some boys to be in the boys' choir." I said, "Well, I really don't want to do this. I really want to go to shop. That's what I signed up for." She said, "Okay, Mike, do me this. Stay in here 1 month in this class, and if you like it, great, stay. But if you don't, I will sign the piece of paper for you to go to shop." I said, "You got yourself a deal," not knowing that my life was going to be forever changed. I wasn't into musical theater at the time. I wasn't into singing. I did a couple things in church, but never my heart on that. And so I go in, and this woman, she was from South Louisiana, and her true name was Judith. And fun fact for you, she barely could speak English when she went to LSU because she was from the bio. And if you know anything about the
Creole,
bio,
French
all the
Creole.
way. Yeah, and she didn't know how to speak true English. So she went to LSU, and they gave her trouble about it. And when you meet her later in life, perfect English, but they would make fun of her and all kinds of stuff. But she forever shaped my life. Not only was she a good teacher, she was a woman of God. She was a worship director at First Baptist there in town, and just poured into us. Now, she was rough around the edges, and that's what I loved about her, because she was saved, but she had some choice words from time to time when she needed to get my attention. And she would take time with me, and I went from being in men's chorus to being in show choir. And before you judge me, men can be in show choir and still be men. Hear that, okay? Moose was in show choir also.
I need to get up for this video. I need to make sure that I can put you and I next to each other. If you have your
I
show choir
do.
outfit,
I
I've got
do.
my show choir outfit. We can put this on for everybody to see.
Remember, I don't know. I think it was on the devotion the other night when we were on there. I showed everybody, and I was the one that was like,
Yeah. Well, I
and
remember
so
nice sparkly vests.
yeah, same. And we would always go. Is it Homewood where all the competitions used to be up there in Alabama? I think so. So
Probably. I mean,
yeah,
it was probably Sanford University, which is
yep,
in.
yep. Yeah, that's where we would go and do big show choir competitions. But Judy Meeks took time with me. Judy Meeks basically lived the gospel out in front of me. The most difficult times in my life, she would be there for me, challenge me. And I remember one time I started drinking and doing some drugs, and she took me into the equipment closet because we were right there by the band room. So the chorus room and the band room was like this, and in between there was an equipment closet. And she opened the door. She says, "You go in there right now." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She says, "I don't know what in the H, you can fill that in, is wrong with you, but you need to get your A double and you know what else together." And she loved Jesus, but she said all this to get this boy's attention. And I started crying right there, and I started getting things right around that time. And she took that time when nobody else would. She's the one that believed in me. I was really chubby my freshman year. And when I tried out, I was like, I'm not going to make show choir. But from the time freshman year to sophomore year, I lost a lot of weight. I was a skinny mini, and she believed in me. She's the first person that made me speak publicly. She's the first person that made me sing publicly. And if it wasn't for her, my faith would not be what it was. Honestly, because of her, that's why I'm a little rough around the edges myself when it comes to my faith and my presentation, because I've learned that the nice, cute, put together Christianity is not reaching people. It's that raw Peter type. And that's what she was. She was
Mhm.
that, but she took time and she was rough. Bro, she would make us, like, if she told us to quit talking and we started talking, we would have to get on the ground and do 200 crunches every time called. Bro, my abdomen area was beautiful by the end of that year. I mean, I was in shape. But
Could you wash clothes on it?
yes, I mean, it was good. Uh, but it was in because I not only took boys choir, then I became show choir, and then I did mixed choir, which I became the director of it, the junior director. I went to state for directing. Yeah, believe it or not, y'all, I know how to direct. And I felt like I was going to go into music education. That was my original major. But God met me and said, "No, Mike, that's not it." That's what I wanted to do. She forever shaped my life that I wanted to be more like her. I wanted to do that type of teaching. And I still have a love for that. It's because of her that I did musical theater. I've been in many different productions and blessed to have been in those productions. So, uh, and she has forever had that. But a lot of people didn't know she had MS, and she suffered with MS, and she's still alive. She lives in Arkansas, and I need to go see her. But I kept up with her after high school in my early 20s and my 30s, and we talked through Facebook from time to time. But she never let that deter her. She, even with her flare up, she still was there. Even during those difficult times, she was still there, and she still would check on me. And she had thousands upon thousands of students over her many years of teaching. But I can still go back and look at her and say, that was God ordained. Because if not, I would have went to shop and made some cool projects, and who knows where I would have been. Honestly, I'm trying not to get teared up thinking about it,
Yeah.
because who knows? Because I would have went to shop and ag. I would have done shop and ag. I'm telling you, that's who I would have been.
Hmm.
I'd have been the good old country boy. And when you went to ag, you did extracurricular activities that we can't
Hmm.
talk about on here. And that would have probably been my life. Who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have been in the ministry. When I
Yeah.
told her I was called to ministry, she was the number one person behind me saying, "Mike, you're called to do it." And I'm 47 now. That was 30 plus years ago that she told me that. And it still
Yeah.
rings true to this day.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And, at the time, you probably didn't think anything of it.
No, not at all.
Um, I had a I had a coach. I played football all through school. I played 1 year in elementary school. Baseball was my thing.
Yeah.
Baseball to this day is still my favorite sport.
No,
But when I was in fifth grade, I played football, and back then, unlike today, if you weighed a certain amount, you could not play
no.
football.
Yeah.
So when I got to sixth grade, I weighed too much, and so I had to skip sixth grade. But in seventh grade, I started off playing, and I played all the way through high school. Um, I went from kind of like you in eighth grade, beginning of eighth grade, I was 5'6", about 190 pounds.
Wow.
When I started the ninth grade, I was 5'11", 190 pounds. So I shot up 6 inches or 5 inches, didn't get a pound. And then by the time I was in 10th grade, I had grown another 3 inches and put on another 20 to 25 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
And a lot, and I remember the day that we were doing football practice, we were doing preseason stuff, and um, the coaches had a meeting after practice one day, and it was probably about the first week of practice. And the meeting they had was, hey, what do you think about moving Johnston to center, the 10th grader? And this was something I was not expecting, but they came to me and said, hey, we're thinking about seeing you as being a starter at center on the offensive line now. And I just remember being shocked. And our offensive coordinator was a man named, his name was Sean Sutton. And Sean Sutton doesn't have, he, to this day, does not have any kids, but he was the guy that when I wanted to see what it was like to show tough love
Yeah.
and be a man and kind of do what I needed to do, he's the one that I would just single out and say, Sean Sutton.
Wow.
He was mean, but
We
he
need
was
that.
also loving. His last name is Sutton. Can you imagine? So a lot of people didn't call him Coach Sutton. You can imagine what they called him
Yeah.
because he was mean and they thought he was the devil.
Wow. Satan.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Just
so
like
he
Nick
got
Satan.
and don't let him hear you call him that.
Was he kin to Don by any chance?
He was not Canada Don. He was actually he was from the west side of Alabama. Don Sutton was down from the southeastern part. He was from Clio. He was down from
Mhm.
down near Troy.
Yeah.
But Coach Sutton was. I mean, he was just a. I just remember being so like I remember in summer workouts, he would be the one that would be in charge of the that week, and I just remember everybody being, "Oh man, we got Sutton this week."
No, man.
And then the conditioning was so bad, but he stayed on us. And let me tell you something. By the time I was a 11th grader, when you see all this work, it's kind of like Mr. Miyagi. You
Yeah.
do all this training, all this preparation, and you get so upset because you're doing it, and you want to throw everything down and say I quit, and then you put it into practice, and it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
wow. And it's so funny because I still talk to him to this day. He's an assistant coach at one of the schools that we officiate. And I joke around with him because I tell him that he gave me PTSD because 8 or 9, 10 years later, I'm flipping on the channels and I see MTV's Two-A-Days, and their kids on a Thursday night before a football game up here in Hoover, Alabama, which is probably 10 minutes up the road from me.
Oh, yeah.
And they were doing Two-A-Days. That was an MTV show, reality
I
show,
remember that one. Yeah.
and the kids are at a bonfire or a gathering, and they're out the night before a football game, and one of the kids looks at his phone and says, "Oh man, Sutton's calling me." Because he would do that. He would call people on Thursday night to make sure they were in bed.
Wow.
And but there's more to it. I never heard the man cuss at a player.
Wow. That's
But
big.
even to this day, like we were joking around about a month and a half ago. I was joking around with some of the other coaches at a 7-on-7 tournament, and they called him Coach Frick.
Hmm.
Coach Frick, frickin' this, frickin' that, Coach Frick, dang old this, dang old that, but he never had a four-letter word expletive come out of his mouth towards a player. Now, there's a couple times where we got emotional. We played a team, Fort Payne High School, which is the home of out the band Alabama, and I actually played against Randy Owen's son in high school. We went up there, and in the Fort Payne newspaper, they said something about him, and he cussed because he was upset at the way they said something to him. And then we had a school prank in which somebody decided they wanted to leave their business on our school track one year, and
Well,
he made reference to that because he was so mad. But as far as like cussing a kid out, never heard him do it. Even just in his everyday language, he didn't use this. I had a friend of mine who in November of '98 he was killed in a accident on the way to school,
yeah.
collided with a bus.
Ooh.
At a red light, bus came down off the hill, T-boned him, and he ended up losing his life. Um, but he was not even living with his parents; he was living with another friend at the time. And he had gone. He was like couch surfing because he and dad his dad was kind of liked to take to the drink and was a little abusive there. And um, I don't want to go into too much of that, but anyways, for I know for a little bit, our friend lived with Coach Sutton because he had
Yeah.
nowhere to go. I mean, that's the kind of guy that Sutton was.
Wow.
I mean, I never will forget the time that he told me he was getting married, and I made an announcement on Facebook. And all those teachers that thought he was so cute back in the day were like, "Oh my goodness, he finally got married." It's like, yeah, because a lot of the teachers thought he was just an attractive man.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so he's a Christian man. Um, he never really reached out to me as far as like his faith goes, but he led by example,
Yeah.
and that's important to me because I he left right before my senior year. We were devastated when he left. Our head coach, he left to go take an assistant job at the neighboring school because his son was coming up and he was a retirement age, so he was kind of doing that. And then we heard through the grapevine that Coach Sutton was at that same school doing stuff, and so we pulled him aside. He said, "Yeah," and he said he'd never thought he'd see a bunch of 17-year-olds do something like that. Not that he was, upset about it. He was just
Yeah.
surprised that we had the gall to do that. But the next year, I invited him to. He had taken a job at a very small school as a head coach somewhere, but I invited him back to my graduation. He came back to my high school graduation. Because I told him he meant that much to me that I wanted him there, so he showed up.
Wow.
We've been in touch throughout the years. He's helped me out sometimes. He was a shoulder for me whenever I was going through my divorce. To me, it just shows that sometimes teaching, coaching goes beyond just what you see between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. or whatever your school hours are, or for,
Yeah.
my case, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for football practice. It was just so much more beyond that. And I have a couple other teachers that I could probably talk about, but when it comes down to it, Sutton's the one that really means that much to me. And I just pray that my daughter can find somebody besides her parents, my wife and myself, and her mom and her stepdad, that she can kind of look to because while I think it's great for us to be mentors and Christian examples in the home, we're not always with our kids.
That's it.
And so they need good examples. They don't need you know, I, you mentioned the stuff about going into ag. We had a arts and crafts class that was kind of tied to out near the ag and welding and all that kind of stuff like that. And the female teacher would sometimes take a big chaw from the students and just put it in their mouth, which, this was the 70s, it'd be completely different, but this was the 90s, and it's just like they're so anti-tobacco. I mean, you can see it now, like it's so difficult to even start the habit of chewing tobacco or smoking now because the sin taxes,
Oh yeah.
things like that. And then it's just, all the Surgeon General warnings and stuff like that. But back then, they were just kind of getting into that. But we had a teacher who was like actively participating with the students. Now, it wasn't as bad as what you're saying, but I know some of that was going on. And
Yeah.
because that was the part that was furthest away from the administrative part of it.
I think it's at every school. That's how ours was too. It was that far away. Let me ask you a question about Coach Sutton. Did you ever referee a game for him?
I have refereed a game for him.
Did,
So,
did he yell at
yes,
you? No.
you know, he he has not the same way he used to because I have an equalizer now. My
Yeah.
equalizer's yellow and it's about 6 by 6 inches.
Oh yeah.
So I have an equalizer there. He was never a head coach for me. I know he's been head coaches at other
Yeah.
places, but he really set in with the guy who was the head coach at Hoover during 2 days, who's huge scandal, 30 for 30, ESPN 30 for 30. Sutton wasn't
Absolutely.
involved with all that stuff, but he was on the coaching staff there and in Georgia. But
Wow.
he's been back to Alabama a few times and doing some stuff. So, um, right now he's an assistant coach at the top program in the state of Alabama. They've played for I think 7 straight state championships and they've won 5 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's one of the assistant coaches there. So he's in a good place and he's in his 60s now. So
Huh.
he's I think 18 years older than I am. So that would put him in his early 60s. So
That's
it's just amazing that I remember being in ninth grade and being so scared of this guy. And then by the time he told us he was leaving 11th grade, I was in tears because he was leaving. And
wow.
that's the kind of people that I wish every child, every teenager would be able to have outside of their household.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just it's that one coach, and so we both have positives here. And I know I don't. We can go over a little bit as far as what we had talked about earlier, but
Oh yeah.
I have another teacher that for a long time was my favorite teacher in high school, and I'm not going to go into names, but um, there are some rumors about grooming some of my classmates for even I wouldn't say underage, but like grooming them starting when they're younger
Yeah.
until when they hit of age, but still it doesn't. He was grooming, and I'd heard that rumor years ago, and now it's been for me. It's been confirmed by somebody else. So it's kind of like a smoking gun situation. And
Yeah.
from what I understand, he's gotten himself right. He's he's done some things that um he's made some calls and things like that. But and it's for me, it's hard. And there's another situation going on you and I have talked about offline. Sometimes it's hard to show grace without being just completely upset about a situation. And that's kind of where I am with this situation. It's like when the second person came to me and said this happened, I thought about it for like 2 weeks. Like it was on my mind for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just because he was such a great teacher, such a great teacher.
Yeah.
And it just kind of upsets me.
When we see things like that happen, and that happens in school and in ministry and the workplace, when we see whether it's true that it happened or not, it's upsetting. Because I've had a lot of mentors that even in my life I've seen those type of things happen. So,
No,
but
I just don't, you know, it happens. Stuff with school, stuff like that happens. It's happened for a long time. We had a welding teacher at the school who had a child who graduated in high school when he turned 81, and one of his former basketball players was the mom.
wow,
And she was in her 20s and he was in like 60 when they got like she was in her like around 20, 21 years old when they got married. So,
wow,
and he was like in his 62, 63 when the baby was born. So, it's just, that's happened. it's more out there, and it just upsets you because I have had such a great positive experience with some of my teachers, and there's more teachers out there. I mean, I could put a list of all these people who had that influence on me, but it's like kind of like that one bad apple in the bag that ruins the rest of the bag, and it's just
Oh yeah,
hard to really to cope with. So
every time. And and I had one bad teacher, and I'll just share this. It'll be very brief. He did not like me, wanted to see me gone, but he would always call me chief or son. And still to this day, if someone looks at me and calls me son or chief, there's like this PTSD, and I'm like, I'm looking at him like, I have to remember it's not him. He did it the whole year. It was rough. He bullied me. He got other people to bully me too. But
I understand completely.
yeah, so they've got those rough teachers out there like that too. So
I don't like being called
yeah,
big J, big guy. I don't like being called any of that.
my number one thing I hate being called. I'm about to let everybody know.
What's up?
Picket. I hate that with a passion. With a passion. And for some reason, with my name, everybody does it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I'm like, Mike is a lot easier to say than Pickett.
Only one syllable, right?
Yeah. And everybody's like, well, there's a lot of Mikes out there. I'm like, I don't like Pickett. I had a coach, had a coach that, and yeah, they call you by your last name, but the way he enunciated it, the way that he did it, it made me batty. But y'all can call me Pickett, but I'm just saying if I go, just know why.
Good deal.
But this was a good episode. I love talking.
It's fun. It's not serious.
Yep.
We got some serious stuff coming up, and just want to, talk a little bit about some of the people that influenced us.
Yeah.
So, you want to take us out?
Yeah. So if you were watching or listening to us today, we want to say thank you for taking time out. You've been here with us for about 23 minutes now. We're so thankful that you were able to do that. Hey, we're blessed that you're supporting this podcast. But we've got so many places for you to connect with us. We're on Facebook, Podbean, on YouTube, on many other different things. And we'll make sure to link all of that stuff here at the end. We've got some merch coming. We've got a website coming, y'all. It's not ready yet. But please do us a favor. Share this out, even if you didn't like it. Please share it out anyway, because you can make us annoy someone else if we annoyed you, okay? But I pray that this is truly a blessing. But I want you to hear this. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter who you've become, you can come home and Jesus will forgive you. God bless you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate all the likes, and just want to let you guys know. Praying for you. God bless.